Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
Um, yeah, even we were just saying that it's amazing that we can talk to each other, and even when
Yes.
like when you first started out, you had to do so much traveling to find the experts that you didn't even know who to find and where to
Yes.
find them, and you went out on your journey, and in that kind of a way, I think that's pretty special in its own way. It's a
Mm.
But I
It
guess
is.
in nowadays we have other ways of finding
Mm.
the experts, and then learning from them. I think it's pretty special too. I'm very
And, and,
thankful.
and,
I'm very
and I think,
thankful
as
that
I
we get
said,
to have that sort of an opportunity. All kinds of people sharing and
it is.
connecting.
And, and it's also environmentally much more sustainable rather than constantly jetting around the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So might we continue then?
Sure.
Okay.
Definitely.
I,
Please.
I am going to do a quick Ujjayi, maybe 2, 3 rounds. I need to maybe warm it up a little bit, so it might go to 4, 5, 6 rounds. I don't know, but I'll see how it goes, and
Mm-hmm.
then we'll talk any questions. Okay?
Mm.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that looks good.
Okay.
Correct.
Um, One thing that I've noticed when I do the Ujjayi, I definitely feel more like I have to really work to keep the sensations out of here. I have to really work to keep it below my collarbone.
Mm-hmm.
I find as it's coming in, it's just going right here instead of all going down. And
Mm.
I'm wondering if you have any tips on that, or if you've experienced something like that before.
Yes. That means that, uh, yeah, you're basically, if that happens, that means that you're drawing the breath too high up. Yeah. So you want to start filling it really low down and then finish here at this point, because otherwise there's too much oscillation of the intracranial pressure. And while it seems that we could put some more air in, you just have to finish here and not let it rise any higher.
So I've noticed that even so, it's not so much that it happens at the top ends of my breath. It almost begins right away. Like it just as I have the breath coming in. I think because of the constriction here, and it's just it feels like the pressure, and it's not a strong
Mm,
pressure, and it's
mm, mm,
I'm learning to manage it. I'm
mm,
learning to not allow it to rest here. I'm learning to
mm,
like bring it down all the way first, let it expand, and then not let it come up. But it's definitely been something that I've had to consciously work to avoid, and it's still like I'm still struggling at a very beginner stage with it.
Look, there is a sensation in the head also, which is related to the sound.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that is a harmless sensation.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wouldn't
Okay.
that is a harmful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel fuzzy, I don't feel dizzy, I don't feel out of sorts in any way during or after practicing for extended period of time. So I've always kind of felt I'm okay with it, but at the same time, I do remember reading about the mention of the pressures in the head and just being careful not to bring the breath up. Okay, that's fine.
So that sensation that you're talking about is a bit more like a suction in the head, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is harmless. The destructive sensation would be like a pressure sensation that goes from the inside out. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially if it's followed by a headache or by tinnitus or anything like that.
Yeah. No, this one is really localized right around here.
Yes.
And I do feel like it has to do with just the way the breath comes in and what's going on. Okay.
Yeah, that's a harmless sensation.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Okay, I think it would be amazing if we could just talk about the Kundalini right now.
Yes, please.
Like this goes even back to Kapalabhati now because so it started a lot with the Mula Bandha. And then after I was using it just in asana practice, I practiced the Bikram method as my daily practice. And over about a year and a half, things started building up. Then I started being able to kind of like get a sensation from the Mula Bandha. And then recently, over the last few months, I've started to notice that my breath can bring it at times, but not the same sensation unless I use the double up wave. And when I use the double up wave, whether I'm doing a breathing technique or even when I'm doing some of the kriyas like after I do, let's say, the Jalandhara Bandha or the Uddiyana Kriya, the Baya Uddiyana that you refer to it as, or whether it's the Madhyama, and even after I do some Agni Saras, or that stage of Nauli that you mentioned, and then after I release that, I'll breathe in and out. But as I breathe in, I allow it to be a 3-stage up wave, and then as I breathe out, I also allow it to be a 3-stage up wave, and that will bring the sensation as well. So through my breath, when I'm using the double up wave, I'm getting what are undoubtedly nerve impulses. They must be because of the what's happening in my body. And now, recently, through my thoughts, I don't want to say through my thoughts, but through certain mental or awareness experiences that I'm having, I'm also getting the shots of nerve impulse. And usually those thoughts or those mental experiences are relating to, how do you say, conceptualizations of the divine, or whatever we want to call it, like where I will perceive on a grander scale, like let's say the interconnectedness of things, or a lot of the times it comes from just my awareness of like just my presence of being. And as I'm aware of that presence of being, I will get this rush of nerve impulse that will get me going. Anyway, so that's kind of the background of where I'm accessing this from these days is either I can get it with the Mula Bandha, or I can get it with the double up wave, or I can get it if I'm in that kind of, it feels like that sattvic state, where it just feels so pure and connected. and it'll come to me, and I'm beginning to be able to access it more and more intentionally. And in fact, I remember also you had mentioned in your writing that even when doing the Kapalabhati, to concentrate the Om in the root, in the base.
Yes.
And so I've been doing that, and I'm noticing it's like when I keep it in the bowl of the pelvis, like around the sit bone area, it localizes there, and maybe it'll go up to the Svadhisthana, or even to the Manipura chakras, but it won't really give me the shots of nerve impulses. However, over the last, let's say, week, I've been not just keeping it around the sit bone area. So at first it starts like if I'm at the urogenital triangle, kind of, that's where nothing really is going on. But if I kind of slide it back around the sit bone area, I'll feel a nice, like, kind of tingly, kind of like just things are gathering in that region, in that bowl area, and then maybe it'll go up a little bit, but it'll kind of stay there as a bit of like a concentrated feeling. So over the last week, I've been moving away from the sit bones, and I've been focusing the Om and the pulse right at the tailbone tip area. And as I've been doing that during my Kapalabhatis, my body has been shaking, and I'm finding that's kind of I've been playing back and forth with it, because if I'm shaking while I'm doing it, I'm losing my technique, and it's hard to continue. But at the same time, it's an interest, like just kind of exploring with that is interesting in its own way. But so mostly I've been keeping it down there. But so that's just with the Kapalabhati. There are other times where I can just slowly concentrate it, and then it'll just shoot, and I can't control it, and it'll last for maybe a second, and I'll like contract, because I don't know how to manage. It's not even a voluntary control. It just contracts. It's not even like I'm choosing to contract. And I feel like I want it to just, it just wants to like expand me everywhere or something. I don't know what that sensation is, but anyhow. So before you give me any advice or thoughts or tips or next steps, I'm just going to access it through the just through the bandha, because I feel like that's the easiest way for me to get it. And then you can see kind of what it looks like, and then you can let me know what's going on, or your thoughts, or if you've experienced like this before, okay? Okay, actually that was like 4 of them, because I kept holding on. I kept holding on. Normally I let it go so that it lets go, and if I keep kind of focusing there, either mentally or with the bandha, or sometimes like even with the mental, the bandha, while the nerve impulse is engaged, it's also engaging a bit at the same time, involuntarily almost, it feels like. Anyhow, okay, any thoughts, or did you notice anything?
Yes, look, spontaneously I would probably say that I wouldn't consciously pursue it, simply because it looks quite intense, so have you been doing Bhastrika?
No, because that's like in your list of progression. That's one of the last ones, and I definitely do not want to go there before I even have a Kapalabhati. That's good, and the long breathing pranayamas for sure. I'd rather go through the retentions and all of that before I get into something as powerful as the Bhastrika.
So the way how it looks to me is that there is sort of some type of involuntarily Kundalini or Shakti discharge, yeah, and so I guess what we want to avoid is, you would want to make sure that before you provoke things like that you have that hemisync, yeah, so that the Shakti will not go up through the lunar nadi or the solar nadi. You also want to make sure that the chakras are fully opened before it goes up, and you want to make sure that the granthis are broken. Yeah.
Okay.
In my a lot has been talked about Kundalini accidents.
Yes.
I guess the person that started to talk about it was Gopi Krishna.
Yes, and I've read the work that you've posted in your blog and also in your other texts. I believe it's the Samadhi text.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And so in yoga meditation, I wrote basically a list of things, exactly that what you were just referring. That if you do all of those things, you're absolutely sure that you will not have an adverse reaction. Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess if it was me, I wouldn't provoke it, because we don't know. I mean, it's sort of if there are blockages.
Yes.
Then they are of karmic nature. They're always of karmic nature.
Okay.
Yeah? And so sometimes they deal with karma which is quite in the remote past.
Yes.
And we may not be aware of it.
Yes.
So my suggestion would be to work with Kapalabhati to come to the point that you do eventually internal and external kumbhakas.
Yes.
While you do Nadi Shuddhi, and then at some point start doing Bastrika. Yeah.
Okay.
And then when you are at that point, that you do a fair amount of Bastrika, you can then consciously provoke that what you've just demonstrated simply by doing Kapalabhati Bastrika Nauli. Yeah.
Okay. The full Nauli.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and that will then eventually push it up. Or provoke that discharge.
Okay.
And you can be absolutely sure that you don't have any sort of chaos in your life resulting from it.
Okay. And so when you mention Nadi Shuddhi with Kumbhakas, that's basically Nadi Shodhana is.
Nadi Shodhana.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And so that would be the progression that you would instruct for me is work on the Kapalabhati. While I'm doing the Kapalabhati, should I still be concentrating the Om down around the pelvic region, but not at the tailbone, so that it maintains the just concentrating the Om down there?
Okay. So my suggestion would be to actually focus it on the second chakra.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that you go a little bit higher and a little bit further in the back. The sacrum looks like that from the side.
Yes.
So that you focus on here. During Kapalabhati, that's where you want to focus on.
Okay.
Yeah? I mean, the Mula Bandha will come on, so it's not wrong to feel also the pelvic floor. That's not wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I guess right now for my Kapalabhati, I have other things to focus on anyway, so I'm going to kind of drop that anyway for now, but when I come back to it, I will. Right. That's where I'll go.
And the other thing that I would probably would recommend is that at some point you start working with the 6-stage double up wave during the meditation. Not during the
pranayama, but during meditation.
During meditation, yeah. So you would then sit, simply with Jnana Mudra, and breathe through the chakras first up and down, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so the reason that's basically the practice that I've described in yoga meditation.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so the reason why you do it first up and down, you do first 6-stage up and down wave, is because it will imprint in you the ability to drop the prana down to the more basic chakras if you need it. Yeah?
Right.
So the reason why you would need it, for example, let's say a condition like schizophrenia from a yogic point of view is the inability to drop the prana down. Yeah. So I had people who like, for example, I worked with one a gentleman who had been given a large quantity of ayahuasca by his girlfriend, and then this chakra opened and he couldn't come back down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's the advantage of the 6-stage double upwave, to really imprint this reflex that when you're seeing too much, you can actually go down.
Okay.
Some people can't do that. And then once you are absolutely sure that you can always go back down, then you start 6-stage double upwave to drive the prana up.
Okay. All right. I appreciate all of that. Do we have a few minutes just to ask a few more questions?
Definitely.
Okay.
Let's do another 10 minutes because
Okay.
I dithered around here with my internet.
Okay. So I think that the next thing I would just like to ask you is about, actually, can we just talk about Jalandhara Bandha just for a second, because
yes, absolutely.
If you did mention earlier about the Jalandhara Bandha position, your work is the only work that really describes, along with the position, also the contraction of the throat as part of the Jalandhara Bandha proper. Can I ask, how did you come by this, or how come nobody else really goes over this? It's the one that I practice when I use this for example, during the kriyas that you've instructed. That's what I use in Bhaya, Udhyana, and if when I was exploring with kumbhakas, which I'm not doing now because I'm just working on the length of the breaths. But when I was, that's what I was using, and it seems intuitively like more natural once I'm into it. But how did that come about for you, and how come nobody else really goes that way?
I'm actually pretty sure that somebody writes about it, and if I remember right, Andre van Liesbeth, which is a Belgian guy. He's one of the founders of the European Yoga Teacher Association.
Okay.
He wrote a book which is called Pranayama something.
I'll check it out.
Pretty Andre van Liesbeth.
Okay.
I've actually, in the Pranayama book, I quoted him several times.
Yes, that's where I remember the name.
He visited Patabi Joyce in the 1960s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he writes about that. I'm pretty sure that it's him. I've read it before.
Okay.
Yeah?
Interesting.
And so the reason why the knowledge in books is so fractured is because they never said everything in books, simply because that you couldn't just grab the books and then go off and start a cult or whatever.
Right.
Which part of that is a reasonable safety precaution.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But part of it is, of course, also a power game, isn't it?
Yes. I see. Yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
But actually, so what I understand though too is that from you I see the experience that you have gone through, the expertise that you've gained through your own practice, which is why I value your work so much, but also why I trust it so much, because it's obvious that all of the things that you're sharing is not just from what you've read or other things like that. It's from what you've assimilated and practiced and come to find as the best way to go about it. And you've tried it both ways, and you've seen what happens either way, and therefore you recommend the one which seems to be the most I don't know, yogic or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a lot of the things that I don't describe in my books are things which I've actually tried out and they didn't work.
Okay.
Because sometimes people ask me, why don't you write about this and this? Well, and the reason is, well, I've tried it out and it didn't work,
Interesting. Okay. I just want to ask you one more thing about the Jiva
Sure.
Bandha and the Bhrumadhya Drishti.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jiva Bandha, so, and even the Bhrumadhya Drishti, is there any value in applying those during asana practice? I particularly find it conducive during backward bending, the Jiva Bandha,
Mm-hmm.
because the tongue naturally kind of doesn't mind falling back. And also the Bhrumadhya Drishti in terms of the eyes leading and the body following.
Mm-hmm.
And I also find it as it's a nice reminder to maintain the sattvic mind, the sattvic uh,
Mm-hmm.
mind, or whatever we want to call that.
So there is different schools of thought here. Some yogis say in backbending it's better to do the Nasagraya Drishti than the Bhrumadhya. The reason why is because they say, well, the Bhrumadhya can tend to make you overstretch your neck. Yeah? There's a tendency anyway when you go into backbend to fold back too much in the cervical spine and not enough in the thoracic spine.
Understood. Yes.
And so the rationale for Nasagraya Drishti then would be do that one because it takes a little bit of backbend out of your neck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on the other hand, you know, when you do leg behind head postures, yeah, the tendency is now to look down on the nose. So the idea is counteract that by do Bhrumadhya Drishti in a leg behind head posture.
Interesting.
So the typical posture would be when you do Dvipada Shashasana or like, you know, Durvasasana or something like that, where you have your leg or one leg or two legs behind the head. Then the Bhrumadhya Drishti will actually help you to take the head back further.
Interesting. Okay. That's a very interesting point.
Yeah, but I'm not absolutely stuck on it. You know, if you find that it helps you, certainly you would want to do a Bhrumadhya Drishti definitely when you do a drop back from standing, you know. It would help you then, you know, to drop down and to stand back up, yeah.
So I guess the 2 pointers would be, the first one is if like whatever seems to help you best, kind of work with that, but also when you are backbending, being very aware of the neck and not using the neck to be the focus of your backbend, but more in the thoracic spine, and really just having the proper form and technique of a backbend, regardless of your gaze.
That's
okay.
Right.
And the other, and so the Jiva Bandha, do you think that that's kind of like no problem there, or any issues?
Look, there are people who basically, you know, the Maunas, you know, the silent saints of India, they're basically having Jiva Bandha on all the time, which is sort of like an insurance that you can't talk, but you can't say anything. And so there's this thing like, if you always have Jiva Bandha on, that pretty much keeps you out of trouble all night long.
Right. Okay.
On the other hand, what you have to be careful of is, so theoretically you can do it during asana practice. What you have to be careful of is that it doesn't induce undue tension in the into the soft palate.
Yes, yeah? Understood.
Now,
okay.
There are several chakras on the soft palate, and a lot of tension held there. You know, the Brahmarandra is there, for example, yeah? Okay. And, you know, you can basically, it can be detrimental to hold tension, yeah? It can become a spiritual obstacle, yeah? Okay. So, and that would be then Rudra Granthi, you know, the highest of the Granthis. Yeah? So there are yogis who always focus on keeping the soft palate as soft and as relaxed as possible. Okay. Yeah?
So I guess your pointer here would be, just like with any other yoga technique, you really want to have the proper form, and there's like there's the, how do you say, the balance of ease and effort. There's like the balance
Yes,
between them.
absolutely.
The Sanskrit is escaping me now, but it's the famous.
Yeah,
Uh,
Sthira Sukham Asana. Yeah,
one more time, please.
Sthira Sukham Asanam.
Right. That's the one. Okay, perfect. So that actually goes to one of the questions that I just started realizing. Is I noticed that if I do a Jiva Bandha, I can actually kind of suck it in a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe that is like it sucks in from a little bit back, and it kind of
Mm-hmm.
holds the tongue there. But I'm wondering now maybe if that would be putting too much strain on that region.
Mm.
Do you have any experience with that, or do you have any thought about that, or do you even know
Mm.
what I'm
So
talking about?
there's two different ones, and position is where you're more like putting the tongue backwards.
That's
Yeah.
the Shambhavi mudra. Is that
Yes,
okay?
that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Or hang on, the Shambhavi Mudra is actually where you're looking up between the eyebrows.
Oh, not sorry.
The
Sorry.
Kechari Mudra.
That's the one. Kechari mudra. Yes, sorry.
And that's the one where you eventually also produce a kumbhaka, yeah, by swallowing the tongue.
Oh, and
by,
okay.
let's say putting it far enough back.
Understood.
Yeah? And so that is sort of aided by creating a bit of suction, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you can sort of create a bit of suction backwards, but that's also the version that is more likely to create a headache.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now there's another one in which you gently put the tongue against the soft palate and then move it up higher and higher. Yeah. Yeah. So and that's the one where that is, for example, in the Garanda Samhita, it is called Manduka Mudra, or another version of it is called Nabhu Mudra.
Okay.
And that's the one where you are sort of, they call that milking the moon.
Mm.
Yeah. So you're bringing it further up towards the third ventricle of the brain.
Interesting. Okay.
And then they say that eventually when you do it long enough, you will sort of feel a sweet fluid coming down. And that's what they call amrita. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So actually, this has only been in the last few days, literally, that I've realized this, but that I could use a little bit of suction. But it actually, when I do use the suction, it does kind of pull it higher up. Like it's not going up; it's far from there. But it's kind of on the roof of the soft palate there, just there, and it is kind of like snaking it up, but kind of sucking it up. But I'm also making sure that I don't put a lot of strain there. I'm not trying to strain my tongue.
Yes.
Like I like to work slowly and carefully and with proper form because I understand the importance of it, and that's kind of why I'm asking you about this, because again, this is why I love practice so much, because all these little things keep popping up that are coming from almost nowhere, but they're almost like little progressions that occur during practice slowly over time.
Yeah.
Anyhow, okay, I think I'm okay with that. Then
Generally speaking, that technique, Jiva Bandha, we would apply that during both pranayama and meditation pretty much all the time.
Okay. So even, let's say, during a Kapalabhati or during Nadi Shuddhi or something like, or Nadi Shodhana or something like that. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and it's probably more important to do it then rather than during your asana practice.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready to work it into my my breathing practices yet, but I will explore it slowly during my time. But I definitely won't make that a focus. Okay. I guess that might be it for us for this time. I think we're good here. I don't really have any other questions, and our time seems to be up. I really appreciate your consultation here.
It was a great pleasure to talk to you, Julian.
Likewise. And so just to confirm, I would like to post this on YouTube. I think there's a lot of valuable information, and if you don't mind...
okay.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great night. And I would like to talk to you. I would like to talk to you again and get some more consultation from you. But I will do my practices first, and when the time is right, I will speak to you again. Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay.
All the best till then, Julian.
Namaste.
state.